All right, so here we are again. I'm Travis, Holden on the crew of the Tempest. I am here with our captain, our fearless leader, Captain Rajay Maddox.
That's Cadet Maddox to you, soldier.
In about 5 minutes, it will be.
Oh, sure,
Um,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
for now, you're
Hi.
still the captain. So we're jumping off. At this point, a couple of these have probably released. We had the setup conversation. So if you aren't sure exactly what we're doing another Kobayashi Maru scenario. This time with Captain Maddox, or Cadet Maddox, as it were. If you aren't sure exactly what this is, feel free to go back. There is a little setup conversation that me and Ryan had that kind of details what this is and why we're doing it. And then the previous episode should have at least a little bit of a lead in. I think we're just going to jump right in here, simply because by now it should be sort of covered. So first thing we're going to do is welcome Ryan. How are you today?
A little nervous, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's not too bad.
It's not like it's a no-win scenario you're walking into.
Right, exactly. It should be fun.
Yeah.
So let's actually first start with your character. You are Captain Maddox, our fearless leader on the Tempest. I think our viewers and listeners have gotten to know Captain Maddox quite well. I think in the first season of Tempest, you had a couple strong moments in that season that sort of like stood out. I think that were super fun when you sacrificed Teal to an alien as one. And
that was both a really that was a profound character moment in both directions.
Yeah.
So,
but then your awesome diving leap Gorn battle was quite amazing. So
without pants
without
or a shirt,
pants,
I think.
or shirt, no, without both. Yes, it was just your combat boots and your kukri on a belt. Well done, Captain. So yeah,
Yep.
so yeah, like you've had some memorable moments. So it'd be fun to sort of see how Maddox got to this point. So we have the character sheet open. For those who are just tuning in again, we're doing Fate Accelerated, which is a much more condensed version. It's not Star Trek Adventures. So we're going to fill out just some basic character stuff for him, how his character approaches things, as well as a couple aspects of his character, and then we're just going to kind of dive in and do the scene. So Cadet Maddox, let's start with your aspects. What would you say is a high concept aspect? So what would be sort of a couple words, like a couple, maybe a sentence of just sort of a broad strokes of who is Rajay Maddox?
I would say that one of the driving moments in his history was when it was revealed to him the true nature of his parentage. He thought he was fully human and was raised by his Earth mom and his Earth dad, and turns out that wasn't the case. They covered up the true nature of Rajay's birth, and he never knew it. And the truth is that his mom was never his mom. His mom has no biological ties to him whatsoever. In fact, Rajay Maddox is the product of his father's infidelity with an Andorian that he hooked up with at some point.
Yeah. Wow.
But his mom never showed him anything other than the type of love and dedication that any mother would. So it was when he found out about it, he was extraordinarily upset with his father and entirely devoted to his mother. So I think it has something to. I think an aspect here should fall somewhere along the lines of trust and loyalty. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it.
Well, I will note, when it comes to something like that first of all, that's brilliant. I don't think I knew that, or I don't know if I remembered it from like maybe when we recorded the character stuff early on. But that's super fascinating. So that feels like that could be, if there's like a hint of sort of maybe anger or resentment in there type of thing, that feels more like either like its own aspect or potentially your trouble aspect. I think those tie into there, but your high concept is mostly just sort of like the core of what sort of drives, like why, basically can sort of be, why are you joining Starfleet, right? Like what's your motivation towards that?
So the other thing that I would say that I see we're getting at there, this is more pure and less problematic. This is less conflict in it. And this is definitely that he, one of Maddox's values in the show is failure is a prerequisite to success. And he is and loves and has always loved science and the scientific process. And the only way that any intelligent being has ever gotten anything right was by first getting it wrong. So I think one thing would be not afraid to get it wrong, something along those lines, like unafraid to fail.
Hmm.
Would that
Yeah,
work
but
well in this context, or is that too?
I think that works as an aspect. I don't know if it's a high concept aspect.
Okay,
Again,
can you
like
give
I'm
me an
thinking.
example of a high concept?
So based on what you were saying, I was thinking maybe something along the lines of like, I mean, dedicated scientist or dedicated to science or high-minded explorer or like just again like sort of motivation as to like what is driving
Okay,
Maddox.
yeah, okay. Yeah, passion for science.
All right, passion for
We can do it
science.
that way. Hmm.
And like I said, these are broad and like you can weasel your way into using them however you want. So that's part of the thing.
Sure, sure.
So I'm gonna go ahead and add this in there. Passion for science. All right, so the trouble aspect. Yeah, I think working in the backstory of his trust stuff is really good. Maybe yeah, I don't want to toss them out because I want you to kind of like feel like they're coming from you. Um, Anything pop into your head in terms of what might be an aspect of Maddox's personality that is that can be very good, but also can sometimes get him into trouble.
Well, you phrased that a little bit differently than what where my brain was
Mm.
going with it. So what I was thinking was his blind loyalty to his father prior to the revelation of his parentage. He
Mm.
now has affected him profoundly. So,
Yeah.
in that he trusted his father, unequivocally, and then found out that his life was a lie, and he blames his father. He blamed his father for that. So,
Do you think Maddox has issues trusting at this point then?
well, yeah, that's the weird thing. That's the cool thing. It's like yes and no because he trusts. I mean, his mom gave him faith that good people are out there because it's not even his
Yeah.
mom. And like this person who wasn't even related to him raised him
Yeah.
and was his mom, so he trusts her implicitly and knows that that trust is out there. So maybe trusts at a cost or something like that along those
Yeah.
lines, or maybe actually what at this stage particularly in his career because he only found this out as an adolescent, so
Okay,
that's
yeah,
not
so this is
long
pretty
before
new. Yeah.
joining. Yeah, that's not long before joining academy.
Yeah, is it possible he hasn't come to terms with it yet
Yeah,
at this point?
maybe. Yeah, so has trouble believing in others, or is hard is how to summarize that up.
I mean, we could just put trust issues as well.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I think that is simple, but also really on point for him at
Yeah,
this point.
because it kind of works both ways. You can use it in either ways. Like you have trust
Yeah,
issues where like if someone has started to earn it, you might really trust them hard because
overly
you're
trust them. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But then also it might be tough to trust them. So yeah, I like that. I think that'll work. So trust issues. All right. So then we're gonna add one more in there, and this can be again sort of whatever you want. It could be that he loves cars. It could be maybe like whatever. Like it literally could be anything you want. If he's just really is obsessed with his hairstyle, like it can
Oh,
be anything
that's
you
a
want.
low blow, man.
Oh wow,
um,
it literally I'm trying to wing, and so I'm like I didn't even
yeah,
have
I
like the
know.
window up. I'm just
Yeah, the funny thing is, most people probably don't know that I'm as bald as they come. So another aspect that Cadet Maddox.
now this one is going to be more positive. This is not like this is a normal aspect. So like this is one with the idea that you will be able to use this to gain an advantage in some way. So like what's he
Hmm.
good at? What like I know in the show that he's like got diplomacy and team dynamics. Like he's a really good social person
Yeah,
in terms of
so
like working in teams.
I would say,
Which actually, like the idea that Maddox later in life becomes really good at working within teams as a result of working through his trust issues is actually kind of on point and awesome. So,
yeah,
all
definitely. I would say he's a chameleon. He can get along with any group.
right, yeah, we can do that. Do social chameleon,
Yeah, there you go.
and I will
That's
spell
good.
that terribly.
It doesn't matter.
Spelled camelon.
Camel, social camelon. I love
Alrighty.
it.
So
Okay.
now we're going to dive into approaches. These are just the ways in which your character approaches tasks of any sort.
Mhm.
Careful, clever, flashy, forceful, quick, and sneaky. For this activity, you're going to get a single 2, 3 1s, and then the rest are zeros. So what of those list of like approaches to tasks do you think Maddox is the most of? Is he like the most forceful, or is he the cleverest, or is he the sneakiest?
Not to, I'm not padding stats here. This is just a question. So does zeros mean automatic fail when you
No.
you apply them?
So when you roll the dice, you get 4 dice. When you press roll, it automatically rolls 4 dice. And then each one has a minus, a 0, or a plus on it. So if you roll 2 minuses and 2 pluses, it's -1, -2, +1, +2. You see what, so like it's the cumulative total of that. Does that make sense? I think I explained it poorly.
So zeros are just like neutral.
Right. So whatever you end up rolling with the 4 dice, the number that's beside the approach gets added to that total. So if you roll 2 minuses and 2 pluses, but your careful stat is 2, it'll be -1, -1, 1, 1, +2, which would give you a +2 total.
Okay, I'll trust. I'll follow your lead on that.
Okay.
But from Maddox's point of view, careful, clever, flashy. So I'm looking to put my strongest, based on my own character here.
Yeah. What's the way he would like? How would he tackle a problem? Is probably like what's the way that he would try to tackle a problem?
Oh, geez. I would say clever.
All right. It fits with the social chameleon, the social camelon movement.
So he's definitely a camelon, no question about it. All right. So that'll be 2.
Yep. So pop in a 2 there, and so now you get 3 1s.
I think I definitely will put a 0 for careful, so we can just put that up there.
All right.
He's not very careful.
Yeah, if you want to back into it, that's also totally an option.
He's definitely forceful, so 1 goes there. Flashy. I would say. Oh man. Oh god. Okay, put a 1 on sneaky.
All right.
Now quick versus flashy. I would say his trust issues make him slow on the draw. So 0 for quick, and he's a social chameleon, so he's got to have some panache. So a 1 there. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So
social camelon. I apologize.
Social camelon. Yeah. Well, now I'm just determined to get us a camel on the show next season. So
Maddox is not going to know what to make of that guy. All right.
Alrighty. Okay. So Cadet Maddox has been created.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that'll be that. Let me pull up my scenarios. Cadet Maddox, report to the simulator.
Aye.
Mm-hmm. I almost always go with this one first anyway, because that's just a good starting one. All right, so Maddox strolls, what would you say, like confidently onto the simulator at this point? You doing okay in your classes right now?
I would say a false confidence. He is his character bio for his academy days showed him that he was a pretty average student. He studied hard, but he also played hard. So he wasn't like he wasn't a slouch, and he wasn't like a super dedicated student. He did both. He's right down the middle. So false confidence. He strides on with.
Perfect. All right. So he strides on. He walks up to the thing, and he is given command of the ship. So you sit down in the captain's chair. The lights drop down low for a second, and then the view screen pops up. Your ship has picked up a distress signal from a nearby transport vessel, the Kobayashi Maru. The message states that the ship is transporting a group of settlers to the third moon of Elbrus IV when it came under attack from the Klingons. Multiple ships decloaked, scanned the transport, and then opened fire. If someone doesn't come immediately, they're afraid they're going to be destroyed. What do you do?
Okay. Set course for the distress signal and engage at maximum warp.
All right.
And proceed as quickly as you can, please.
I love it. And so sure enough, he does. He turns the ship, hits the warp button, and you jump. Right when you arrive, you see a small transport vessel, the one that sent the warning. Its shields are glowing. It's taking some hits, like it's doing that sort of like shield color change thing to indicate that they're taking a beating. And then hovering right above it is a Klingon cruiser and 2 birds of prey. The 2 birds of prey are sort of like swinging around to take another go at it at the moment.
Hey, shields up, red alert.
All right. Your shields are up and you're at red alert. What's next?
So the orientation of the birds of prey reference the cruiser, the Klingon battle cruiser. Give it to me one more time. They are.
Oh,
Well, they haven't surrounded the Kobayashi Maru yet, correct? They're still.
no, they've surrounded it.
They are. So
Yeah,
there's no in between.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Gotcha.
The cruiser's like in front of the Maru, and then the birds of prey are like currently circling around it to do another pass because they're just like flying around, taking pot shots at it at the moment.
Okay, put us between the battle cruiser and the Kobayashi Maru, and please proceed as quickly as you possibly can so we can get there with minimal time delay.
Alrighty. So for that, because you're trying to do something quickly, you're going to go ahead and pull up your character sheet, and you're going to give me a quick roll. This is going to be a difficulty 1.
Okay.
And a -3.
3. That's
All
not
right.
good, is it?
So no. Well, I mean, this isn't like there's no complications or anything, and basically, if you didn't meet it, then I just sort of decide how bad it's going to be. So in this case, you just tried to move in between it, and you didn't. You sort of like the impulse engines fired, and you ended up sort of overshooting. So now you just kind of like went past everybody, and now you're facing the wrong way. But then you slowly turn around. Just a little embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. All right, I want to. Can I do a tactical scan of all 3 vessels at once, or do I have to choose?
Nope, you can do it if you want.
A tactical scan of all 3 vessels, please.
They are a Klingon cruiser and 2 birds of prey. They are pretty powerful.
And the status of their shields and their integrity. And
they are full on shields. I mean, it's a transport ship, so literally it looks like they just decloaked. They're fully powered, maxed out, and they're just like beating the crap out of a little kid on the playground. So
okay, I want to change course, and I want to basically put the Kobayashi Maru directly underneath the primary hull of our vessel. So we are now 1 target. We basically will. I want to put the what's the name of our ship? Do we have a name of our ship?
Nope. You can name it whatever you want.
Okay, the Bantu Wind. I want to put the Bantu Wind directly on top of the Kobayashi Maru. So and to shield it at the best angle to which it's shielding it from any other incoming fire.
Okay. As you start to turn around and start to move closer, you've already tried to make a move once. As you turn around and start to move closer, you get a hail from the cruiser. Do you respond to it, or are you going to continue moving?
Fire photon torpedoes. Maximum yield.
At?
The cruiser that's hailing us.
All right. Sounds good. All right. I have to open up the cruiser now because I was not expecting that so quickly. Yeah, so the Klingon cruiser. So you are firing on the Klingon cruiser headed by Captain Balmok. Balmok. His bio reads, he is a grizzled veteran of the Klingon Empire. Captain Balmok has consistently refused additional promotions in order to continue keeping his hands as dirty as possible.
Okay. Are we able to simultaneously hail this guy or no?
Nope, you're firing on him.
Okay.
So,
yep.
So yeah, like that feels like it's got to be a flashy, right? It's either got to be flashy or forceful because you just like came out firing.
Okay, you tell me which one.
So what's your goal? Are you actually trying to damage them, or are you just trying to like wake them up?
I'm letting him know that I don't give a shit what he's trying to tell me right now. He's shooting on an unarmed cruiser with a squadron. I don't care what he wants to say.
All right,
and I'm not ready to negotiate.
Definitely flashy then. So you're gonna roll flashy. Okay. He's gonna roll careful because his best is forceful. So like usually I would just say he would just tough it out and take whatever hit, but he hasn't seen you before, so he's still trying to feel you out. So I'm gonna roll careful. So we both roll and then we see how you do. 3, 2, 1, and yeah. So Balmok rolled a 3, you rolled a 2, so you did not succeed. The only question that you would have is, are you able to utilize one of your aspects to like reroll or add 2 to it? It feels a little tough based on what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm not ready to do that just yet.
So you fire. The torpedo grazes his shields, but does not really like connect and do much damage. And well, you definitely have their attention. The cruiser itself does not turn or do anything, but the 2 birds of prey now, instead of targeting the transport, they were sort of circling around. Basically, now they just turn and like just head your way, and they're getting ready to fire on you. So you have their attention.
We already did our maneuver. We are on top of the Kobayashi Maru at this point, correct?
No, if you still want to make that move, then now is the time to do it.
Yes, that I do want to make that move.
Alrighty.
Well, wait. So hold on. Let me reassess. So the birds of prey are ceasing their attack on the Kobayashi Maru and are now coming towards us.
Correct.
Okay. In that case, I want to draw the birds of prey away from the Kobayashi Maru.
All right. Yeah. So the Bentu win full reverse engines. You kind of pull away a bit. As you get some distance, the birds of prey continue to follow you. They're definitely intent now on attacking you. The cruiser, however, does not change, and it fires another volley at the Maru. Its shields sort of like fizzle and do that thing where they sort of like dissolve to show that the shields themselves have failed. Looks like it may still have some like defense. What's the inner one when you go to yellow alert? Defense.
Oh, defense shields. Or yeah. Hold on. Wait. Let it come to me.
Right. Like it's just
energized defense shields. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So those are still running. Like you can still see a little bit of protection to the ship, but the main shields for the Maru are now completely dead. You've backed away. The cruiser hasn't really moved. It's just still taking shots at them. And the birds of prey are moving on you. What do you do?
So they didn't take any shots at us. So their move was that the battle cruiser went on us.
Yeah, and I mean it's
okay.
So yeah, in this game, unlike Star Trek Adventures, it's less about like whose turn it is, and it's more just like
sure.
how the scene sort of flows. So
okay.
you backed up. In the time that you were backing up, like you noticed the cruiser just kept shooting. The birds of prey are slowly following you at the moment.
Are we closer to the birds of prey than to the battle cruiser?
Right. Yeah, because the battle cruiser was like right in front of the transport, and you were backing away from the transport.
Okay.
So you were like backing away from the scene.
How do we match up in terms of the type of vessel that I'm commanding versus a generic bird of prey of the Klingon Empire?
In this you don't really.
It?
No, not in this. You have a pretty small ship, so.
Okay, so my idea was to grab one of the birds of prey with the tractor beam and accelerate it warp towards the battle cruiser.
Ooh,
basically, sort of doing a. Grabbing one guy and trying to throw him into the other sort of maneuver.
You could totally try that. Yeah. So the way this works is like there's no like ship stats versus player stats. So basically, like sure. I'm rolling Captain Balmock's character sheet. So the ships are essentially whatever the captain's stats are, and all of the captains of the various ships have dramatically better stats than you. So you are welcome to try that thing. Anything you try to do is going to probably be tough. But you are free to try whatever you want to try.
Yeah, so I want to activate our tractor beam and proceed very, very, very quickly, as fast as we can. I don't have a word for that yet. Towards the battle cruiser.
All right.
Yeah.
So you have two choices. You can attack the Tamor or the Tubga. It doesn't matter which.
Let's grab hold of the Tamor.
All right. So you are trying to you're trying to grab with your tractor beam the captain of the Tamor. Oh, that's his actual name. That's right. I didn't name the ships. I just said it's the captain. So Captain Tamor. His bio is he is a brash, newly appointed captain and eager to endear himself to Captain Balmock.
Okay.
I think I'm still going to give you flashy for that because it's still a ballsy move.
Okay.
So you're going to get ready. You're going to try and attract your tractor beam. For him, he's going to see that you're doing it, and he's going to try and evade it. So he's going to basically just try to like move out of the way of your tractor beam. So he's going to roll his quick.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, roll.
Oh right. Man!
He won. He avoids.
By a bunch.
Yep. But again, since you failed to that's all. So yeah, you do the tractor beam, and like we've seen so many times in Star Trek, your tractor beam fires and somehow is off target by 200 feet, and the bird of prey just sort of swoops by it, and now he is within close range. So I say that not as a Star Trek official, I'm just setting the scene.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's close. You took a shot at him, and he's going to return fire. He's trying to blow you out of the water, so he's firing forceful. So I'm going to fire forceful. What is your response to see when you see the bird of prey getting ready to fire on you?
My response as a human, or my response as the ship?
As you, like you're the captain. It's one and the same in this sense. So like you're on the bridge. You see this bird of prey flying at you. You see their disruptors charging up, getting ready to fire. What do you tell your crew to do?
And he's trying to fire torpedoes at us right now. That's right.
Yeah.
Do we know what he's locking on? Yeah. All right. So I want to full engines in the direction of his vessel. So
are you actually going to try and ram him, or?
No, I'm trying to get us so close to him that if he does impact us and there's any sort of ricochet or explosive force off of our shields, that it affects his.
Oh, all right.
So I want to put us like right underneath him. Basically, I'm trying to use my clever approach.
Yeah, so you can use your clever approach. However, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna change up what he's doing because of that. So he powers up his disruptors or his photon torpedoes, whichever. Again, it's not gonna matter. And your reaction is like your ship just starts flying straight at him, and he is a little impressed. Not gonna lie. However, you also did decide to get into this battle with Captain Tamor, who has an aspect of fearlessness of youth as well as an aspect of good day to die. So now he is going to switch to Flashy, because now he is absolutely going to try and light you up with everything, in the hopes that like maybe it'll also take him out and he can go down in a blaze of glory. And if he doesn't, he's just going to look awesome. So
okay.
So I'm going to roll Flashy. You can roll Clever. 3, 2, 1. All right. So
did I roll?
You did, yes. You rolled a 1.
Too bad.
You rolled a 1. He rolled a 5. And yeah, he was definitely using fearlessness of youth, which would I'm not going to use it. That's fine. So he hits you for 4. In that specific instance, you are going to take 4 stress. In theory, again, how the math works, because stress is not the same what we're doing. In this case, you're just going to get a little bit of a break, and it's going to give you 1 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, if you take 1 more hit almost at any damage, you'll be blown out of the sky. But at the moment, you sort of like move in close, and yeah, he fires everything at you just to like be awesome about it. He does take 1 stress because the back blow of it. His shields get damaged quite a bit. Like sort of his ship does the rocking thing, and maybe a console behind him explodes. But on your ship, more consoles explode. You have a couple systems have gone down. You're still functioning and going, but you've taken quite some damage. At this point, you guys have gotten close. What do you do now?
So I would like to use my aspect for Passion for Science to reroll there, or is it too late because you've assigned the damage? Or how does it work?
Well, how would you use your Passion for Science for this?
So again, the passion for science that Maddox has is less about actual science and more about the scientific method, and which basically boils down to trial and error and not being afraid to be wrong. And so he took this course of action and immediately saw that the tactics of his opponent changed immediately. So in seeing the tactics change, Maddox himself would learn from that and would change his own approach in that manner. So
I think that applies, but I'm gonna have to hold it till your next roll, because at this point you did a thing and it didn't work. So the next time you do it, you can basically try it, and if you fail, you go like, no, I've started learning from my mistakes, so I'm gonna redo it. I think that'll work. But I think for this one,
so the next time I can either add 2 or reroll.
Correct.
But not this time. Okay.
Not this time.
All right.
So yeah, so while you're sort of duking it out with Captain Tamor, the cruiser fires again. It looks like all power in the Maru have just completely shut down. It's sort of venting plasma. You can like make out some sparks and some, not quite fire because it's in space, but like you can definitely see some parts that are smoking and damaged. It looks like there's sort of power systems flaring. It doesn't look like it has much time left.
And we are...
You are nose to nose with Captain Tamor at the moment.
Nose to nose. Now, the idea was to get us super, super close to him, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we did that.
Yep.
Even though like we got blown to hell in the process.
Yep.
So I would like to now fire everything we got, because another purpose for getting that close to the bird of prey was to get inside their shield radius, so that we can then basically blow them to hell without. Now granted, we're inside our own shield radius as well, so we have we have that running against us, but that was the idea, is that I can get close enough to at least take out one of them with our phaser cannons.
You're totally willing to do that. I will say that if you do successfully hit them and they take enough damage to be destroyed, you will absolutely also be destroyed.
Will the other vessels around them
No.
incur any damage? What
Nope.
about the Kobayashi Maru?
It'll still be there, but the cruiser will probably just destroy it.
Sounds like that's inevitable.
All right, you're just gonna try and take one out with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you try. So yeah, you're up close. You're inside of it. He's gonna try and back away from you. Once you're in that close, he sees you charging your weapons.
Well, I'm already that close though.
Yeah, I'm just this is flavor text. This is not to change your roll or anything.
Okay.
This is just to
Understood.
describe what's happening. So yeah, you roll in. You know, they start seeing the little like phaser thing around the top of your ship, like we get to see, getting ready to fire. And so he realizes what's happening. He knows you're inside of his shield, so he's gonna like try to reverse engines and get some space between you. But because you are inside of his shield, I'm gonna go ahead and weaken his roll. And so you are trying to be clever because, yeah, moving in close like that, totally a clever maneuver. And so yeah, so we are set. Let's both roll. He's gonna try and avoid. You're gonna try and hit him. 3, 2, 1, roll.
Oh, Maddox outplays him this time.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so he backs away. But just like literally the tip of your ship, right where your phasers literally like stick on the top of your ship, right before they pass, as he's backing up, fires a volley. And it looks like he takes 2 damage from it. So yeah, he's taken quite a beating at this point. He's a little surprised how bad he's doing against this lowly Federation ship. He's definitely a little embarrassed to be taking so much damage in front of his hero, Captain Balmach. Yeah, he just keeps backing up, so now he's a little ways. At this point, let's see. At this point, yeah, the Tubka comes in and takes a shot at you.
That's the other bird of prey.
Yep. Yeah, it basically held off firing because you were sort of nose to nose with its compatriot. But now that he has backed up and given you a little bit of space, Captain Tubka is taking a shot. So.
Okay.
All right, and he is trying to take you out, so he's using forceful, which is his best one, just because he is like.
Can you read me Tubka's personal profile?
Despite maintaining the rank of captain, Tubka has only barely regained his honor after having been taken prisoner at the hands of the Federation.
Oh,
yeah.
He doesn't like us very much at all.
Yeah, his trouble aspect is vengeance against the Federation. So he's not a fan. I'm not going to use it in this one because of the fact that right now it's forceful. It would probably come into play if you had actually taken out the other ship, because then it would have been like a revenge thing. But for the moment, he just wants to kill you. So I'm rolling forceful. How do you respond when he swoops in to try and take a shot at you?
He is outside of our shield radius, correct?
Correct.
And so the way
I mean, at this point, you have basically no shields left.
We have no shields left?
Yeah. Like if he successfully hits you, it's going to do your final hit point. So at this point, like your shields are fizzing in and out, and his disruptor cannons are going to go through and destroy it. So unless you can win the roll.
Sure. So he's charging up his phaser cannons, or his disruptor cannons.
Yep.
That's what we're responding to at this time.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to open a channel.
All right. What do you say?
I say to the commander of the Klingon bird of prey. If we don't have it, whatever its name is. What was the commander's name?
Tubka.
Tubka. All right. Commander Tubka. This is acting Captain Maddox of the Federation Starship Bantu Wind. And I just want to say, perhaps today is a good day to die. And I close the channel.
All right. He's still gonna fire on you. Do you try to do anything besides that, or do you just sit there and take it?
No. I said that because now we are once again. This time we're setting a collision course.
Okay. So that's going to be quick because you're trying to sort of like jump into him before that happens. Yeah. So you're going to roll quick as a response roll, and I am going to roll forceful. So let's both roll. 3, 2, 1.
Oh, 6 and -1. This does not go well for the Bantu Wind.
Yep. So yeah, sure enough, the Bantu Wind's engines, like the nacelles, like get a little brighter. But before the helmsman can press the engage button, Captain Tubka's weapons specialist fires a handful of disruptor beams or bolts at you, and Sure enough, the shields go in one shot, and then the second one hits directly on your nacelles, and Antuin is exploded. And right about that time, the cruiser also fires disruptors at the Kobayashi Maru, and it also is destroyed. So
fair enough.
Just destruction all around. So congratulations.
Right.
That was the first one.
Hooray. I lost the Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah,
I love it.
you put up a valiant fight. You almost took out one of the birds of prey, which is actually pretty solid. And then you got destroyed, which happens. So,
which tends to happen.
Yep.
Kobayashi Maru has frequently wreaked havoc on crew and equipment.
All right. So Captain Maddox had him, went through the Kobayashi Maru. I would say you did not do atrociously.
Well, thank you. Striving for competency. That's what we do here at Starfleet Academy.
Very true. So you go ahead and pop in for it's been a couple weeks. They don't always tell you when it's coming. So like you show up the day and they're just like, go ahead and go into the simulator, getting ready to go again.
If I may, this time I stride confidently onto the bridge with sincere confidence.
Here we are again. You show up for the day like you normally are going to do. You're doing a thing. They said like, hey, by the way, this is your retake of the Maru. And you have some confidence, a little pep in your step, looking to do better than your first run through. And Maddox comes in, sits down on the chair, the lights dim down low, view screen pops up, and you get a little distress signal warning. Your ship has picked up a distress signal from the nearby Federation transport vessel, the Kobayashi Maru. The message states that the ship has become trapped in some sort of spatial anomaly. Without immediate assistance, the ship will be dragged into a rift at the center of the anomaly to some unknown fate.
Okay. Set a course to the Kobayashi Maru and engage at maximum warp, and please proceed as quickly as you possibly can.
Really got to make that into some sort of phrase at some point.
Gotta streamline that somehow.
You set in a course, warp there, you pop out right when you arrive. You didn't do any scans or anything in the area, so right when you drop out of warp, you realize that you have warped right into a minefield of some sort.
So we were within scanning range when we got a distress signal?
If you wanted to scan, I would have let you.
Oh, that information was not implied. So
okay.
I probably would have if I knew we were within scanning range.
All right.
But that's okay. I wasn't, and I jumped in it. I went there. I'm in the middle of a minefield.
Yep. So you're gonna roll.
Of course I am.
You definitely aren't gonna roll careful, but you're gonna roll something. You pop out in the middle of a minefield. What do you do when you pop? I'm picturing Galaxy Quest. You just appeared in the middle of the minefield. Like, what's your reaction when you see a bunch of mines laying around?
I'll stop.
I'll stop. Okay. That's got to be careful because you're trying not to set any off. So.
Okay, that's fair.
So it's either that or quick, but I'm looking at your sheet and they're both zeros, so it doesn't really matter.
They're both zeros, so it doesn't matter.
So I'm gonna roll. The mines are rated as sneaky because they're mines, and we'll see how you do. 3, 2, 1, roll. All right. So you do all stop. You do manage to all stop. Luckily, you avoided the worst of it. There was one mine that was nearby that is attracted to you a little bit and then ends up going off. Does you 1 point of damage. Let's mark off a 1 on there.
So one mine exploded.
Yep. So right when you warped in, you said all stop because you realized you were in the middle of a minefield. The moment you stopped, you were just a little too close to 1. It went off, did some damage to your systems. Didn't do a ton of damage, but it did do some damage. Luckily, did not seem to set off any of the other mines around. At this point, depending on what you're trying to do, I'm not going to make you have to run that check every single time you move. I'm going to assume that you have some competency. So unless you're trying to do something that would be tough to do in a minefield, I'm going to assume that now you can sort of navigate around as need be, just so you know.
Okay.
So one mine goes off, it does 1 damage. What do you do?
Open a channel to the Kobayashi Maru.
All right. You open a channel and there's nothing there.
Nobody's there. All right. Give me a scan of the Kobayashi Maru. Are there still life signs aboard?
There's no ship there. You see a giant spatial anomaly in front of you, out just It seems like the minefield is sort of around the spatial anomaly, but there is no ship that you can tell at the moment.
Okay, I turn and ask my science officer, could it be that we have entered some sort of spatial rift, or do you believe that the Kobayashi Maru has been destroyed? And I guess we're going to have to get that information from some sort of sensor scan.
So you're going to scan. So much of my question here is you're scanning sort of the surrounding area, and I'm assuming you're just scanning the rift itself, right? Or are you trying to scan just the area? You're trying to scan the rift?
I'm trying to ascertain whether or not so we got this distress signal from the Kobayashi Maru, and then when we got there, we entered a minefield, and at the center of that minefield, if I'm not mistaken, is some sort of rift, right?
Right. Yep.
Which is what the Kobayashi Maru said that they were encountering when they issued their distress signal.
Yep.
So I am trying to determine whether or not our sensors are faulty and we just cannot detect the Kobayashi Maru, or if we believe the Kobayashi Maru has been destroyed. So let's focus our scan to determine if there is any sort of debris or radiation that would indicate the destruction of a starship.
All right. All right, I'm going to give you clever for that as well, because you're trying to determine sort of a little bit of a mystery of like where did the signal go, type of thing. It's going to be difficulty 0. So yeah, just go ahead and roll your clever, and let's see if you do it. 5.
Okay. 5. I got a 5. Man,
so
that could have been useful in the last session.
so you beat it enough that's what Fate calls succeeding with style. So sure enough, your science officer standing next to you taps away furiously at the keyboard. Or the touch screen, and sure enough, like you scan the area, there's no debris, there's nothing that indicates it, and then he does notice that the distress signal itself seems to be coming from the rift, and when he does like a narrow band focus scan of the rift itself, he sees what looks like a crybaby sitting near the center of the rift that seems to be emitting the distress signal. And as he does that, 2 what look like Federation ships. They look much like you would expect them to look like, but they seem a little off. They seem like a little meaner. So yeah, they look like Federation ships, but just like a little meaner. They look a little more war-torn type of ships. Fly out of the rift and just head right to you. What do you do when you see those 2?
I order all silence and everybody to rip off the sleeves off of their shirts.
Okay.
On the bridge.
All right. So yeah, you do that.
And I give some speech about how I have a feeling about where these ships came from, and they're going to look and sound. They're going to look like us, but they're not going to talk like us. And I need everybody to follow my lead. And so I try to project as much confidence as leadership as I can. And so I tear off both sleeves of my shirt and I stand proudly in front of the view screen.
All right.
That's what I do.
All right. As you do that thing, you notice that all of the mines around the rift and around you depower. Like all of their power shuts off. It looks like they all just sort of like deactivated at once. And that's because now those 2 ships are flying out there and flying directly at you in a very menacing way.
Okay. Can I also say that I turn towards my, I'm going to assume it's my science officer who did the scan earlier of the rift.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him, when you can, I want you to do a passive, I want him to do as covert a scan of the lead ship, pick a ship, whichever one's in the lead, and try to ascertain as much possible information about its quantum signature.
All right.
But only on my signal. And he knows what that's going to be because I trust this guy implicitly because he did such a good job with my scan. And that's one of my aspects now.
Yeah. Cool. I'm on board. I mean, I would say just to do it now rather than like wait.
Okay, yeah, fucking do it now, man.
Right. This is, again, since this is not Star Trek Adventures, it's not
I'm too used to the mechanics.
You're used to waiting for a turn, and you don't want to like do an action because then you're going to lose your turn type. Like, none of that. It's
what I was doing there was I was what is it? I was creating an advantage,
right? Yeah.
Which I don't need to do right now.
Yeah. So go ahead. And, you're essentially trying to do this scan quickly. So you're going to roll quick.
may I argue that we're trying to do it sneakily because I said I wanted to do it as
Sure.
covertly as possible.
Yeah, on board.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm on board. So yeah, you're trying to quickly grab that, but do it in a way that does not alert the ships that you are scanning them. You want them, because you also are running silent right now, so that you essentially want them to think that you're sort of playing dead. Is sort of the feeling like I'm getting out of this.
Sure.
You've powered down, and now you're trying to do a quick scan.
Yep.
So
okay.
So yeah, so you're gonna roll sneaky. It's only gonna be a difficulty 0 as well. So.
Oh, okay.
So see how you roll, and then we'll.
I got a 0. Does that mean I succeed?
Yeah. So sure enough, you scan it. You can tell that there is clearly some sort of quantum signature on it. So you get sort of two things from it. You get a scan. You can tell that there's some sort of different quantum signature. So it feels like it's not coming from your universe. It seems like it's some sort of universe like yours, but reflected or reversed in some way. I can't think of the exact term I would use for that sort of universe.
Something like if you're looking at a reflection.
Right, exactly.
It's the reflected universe.
Yeah. It's the reflected universe. That's a good one. We'll go with that.
Yeah, but this is go ahead. If there's more, go ahead.
Yep. So you get that information. You can tell that they are coming from some other universe. You also get a little bit of a leftover residual signature that seems like it was left over from the rift itself when they came through it. It's sort of reacting a little bit to their warp core. It seems a little unstable around their warp core itself. It looks like maybe warp fields in some way affect the rift in some way. You aren't sure, but it's sort of like it's fading as they get further away, but there's just something sticky there. And the third thing...
Wait, so their warp core is sticky, or
no,
the warp core affects the rift? The rift is affected by
something
warp
about
core.
the warp core affected the rift in some way.
Okay.
But you aren't really sure exactly what. You just noticed that there was something. That just seems like they sort of like something that weirdness going on there.
Okay.
And then the third thing I said too, but the third thing is you can clearly at this point now it's not even the scan, but since they've gotten closer at this point, you can read the lead ship's name, and it is the Enterprise.
Ooh, how interesting. Okay. So, we are in the academy. We're still.
You are out in space, my friend. You are not at the academy.
Correct. No. I'm in the timeline. I'm trying to get the timeline right because my play earlier, setting it up, was based on the assumption that the missions, the 5-year mission of the original Starship Enterprise NCC 1701, were already public knowledge, archived, and taught at the academy.
Mm-hmm.
So with that,
so this does not look like the A Enterprise.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. So I my communications officer opened a channel to the Enterprise.
All right, the channel's open.
All right, and I stand in front of the view screen, and I sort of slap my shoulder, and I salute, to the best of my recollection, what I studied from James T. Kirk's original mission reports from his encounter with what he called the Terran universe. And I say, all hail the Emperor.
All right, so you do that, and they respond. They're still closing in on you. And so the viewfinder pops up, and you see a very gruff-looking Captain Rachel Garrett staring back at you. She has like a large scar running down like the side of her face through her eye. Seen some stuff. She comes on the screen, and I wouldn't say laugh because it's not that hearty, but she is amused at your attempt at subterfuge. Her only response is to say, "Captain, we brought you here. Come on." And then the screen goes dead, and they get ready to fire on you.
And I request a channel be opened again.
Okay.
That's what I do.
All right. So they fire on you. So let's see. So let's open up the reflected Enterprise. So yeah, they are going to fire. They are firing careful because they are trying to disable your ship, not to destroy it. So what do you do when you see that they are getting ready to fire you? And remember, at the moment, your ship is mostly powered down. So
why would my ship be powered down?
Because you went to silent.
Stop.
You were in all stop, but then you said run silent. So you.
Oh, I didn't say run silent.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said I'll stop, and then I just wanted to do a careful scan of the incoming vessels.
Okay.
I didn't
I'll let you
power
up.
down the ship.
Okay. All right. I'm pretty confident you said all silent, but that's fine. I don't think it's gonna matter that much. So,
Okay. I don't think so either.
so what do you do when you see them powering up weapons and getting ready to fire on you? Both the Enterprise and the other ship, the Endeavor, is getting ready.
And all the minefield around us is now currently
Deactivated.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay. So I set a collision course for the Enterprise.
All right. Love your collision courses, don't you?
Well, this time I mean it, and I want to engage at maximum warp.
All right. Well, let's see. We're gonna try. You're gonna roll quick. Well, okay. So, let's see how. Okay. Yep. No, we're just gonna do that. She's trying to fire on you. You're gonna roll quick because you're trying to hit warp before you get shot. So yeah. So roll your quick. 3,
Okay.
2, 1. Roll.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, nice. You succeeded.
I outgunned her.
Well, you didn't outgun her. You were able to press
Warp.
Yeah, you were able to press warp before that, and sure enough, like, put you straight on a collision course with them, and you jumped to warp right into them. Both the Mirror Universe Enterprise, and the Bantu Wind 2, I guess, just go up in a giant explosion. The Endeavor, which was, by the way, captained by Captain Henry Jones Jr.
Of course it was.
Like, takes a massive hit. They take a couple points of damage. They sort of like fly off. They're very glad that they deactivated the minefield because they slam into a whole bunch of them, sort of like spinning out of control before they get inertial dampeners back online. But yeah, then they kind of like regroup. They figured the thing out. They're a little shocked at what happened. And yeah, before the simulation ends, like, that's the end of the simulation.
Of course,
you're destroyed.
Everything is
But
destroyed.
right before it powers down, you notice an entire fleet of Mirror Universe ships starting to come back in through the rift to invade your universe. So you did not stop that.
Well, I didn't know I was supposed to. So
yeah, so there you go.
all right, that
So
was
that's
fun.
Yeah.
So my aspect there, what I learned from the first one is that I should have done that initially to the battle cruise, the Klingon battle cruiser. So that's what I was thinking Maddox would do in that case. Is like he would try a little bit of clever subterfuge at first, and if that all failed, he was going to do what he didn't do the first time, which was just go after the biggest, baddest dude on the playground and go all out.
I'm hoping he learns from not to do that in real life, because like the Tempest crew would be screwed. So
well,
I don't know if Maddox took the best lesson out of this.
Well, the other thing is that he's not an idiot, and he doesn't really see the point of the Kobayashi Maru, not because he doesn't believe in no-win scenarios, but he believes that there's no such thing as if you know you're going to the Kobayashi Maru as an academy student, as a cadet, you can't win. Like,
well, then this is actually
the psychology of it is counterproductive.
Well, this is actually a really so that happens. Maddox does the thing, and he feels not good about himself. Like, he just is like, okay, yeah, that's how I should have handled that stuff. And he walks off, and the instructor who runs the simulation pulls him off to the side, and he's like, look, I understand sort of what you were taking away from it, and I just want to be clear. What you could have done is found out that the rift could be closed with a warp, with an ejected warp core, with a warp core breach. And so if you had done that, you could have closed the rift that clearly led to the Mirror Universe, hostile Mirror Universe Terrans. So you did do something because you felt like there was no wind or no way to get out of the situation. But if you had actually done a little bit more scanning and figured out exactly what was going on, and I don't know if you would have had time to do it, but there was a solution. It wasn't a no solution scenario. It was just a no win scenario. And then he lets you go.
Thank you, Commander. Yeah, thank you, Professor. I appreciate it. And he rolls his eyes as he walks away.
All right. Well, lesson not learned, I guess.
Let me guess. Smythe probably did really well at this one.
Smythe didn't get this one.
Oh, he didn't get this one.
Nope.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it though. So in now that we've played both of my sort of classic approach Kobayashi Maru scenarios,
Mhm.
are they all like that? Where there's
Essentially, yeah.
one, but cool. I like it. I like it
Yeah,
a lot.
there's 3 base scenarios, and then each base scenario branches into 2 separate potential scenarios off of that. And then I just kind of like I do the base scenario as the opening, and then just kind of dependent on how they're doing or what their plan was to do, kind of pick how it goes from there.
Yeah. So my goal for the second scenario, as I told you, I was going to go into it, and as Maddox both times.
Yeah.
Was just to torpedo the the second time.
Which again, like it's one of the things where like narratively it actually is kind of awesome. Maddox took what he learned and made a decision based on it and was like, this is the thing I'm going to do the next time I'm faced with this. And he did that thing. And then when he left, he was, the instructor came by and was like, hey, you totally did the thing and I get why you did it. But there was this other third option that you didn't consider. And I feel like that's a good example of what might actually happen in the academic environment, right? Like it's like I know that I wouldn't take it seriously if I was doing the scenario. Like if I knew that it was that, I wouldn't take that thing seriously. So it's just it's a fun way to do that. So I think it worked out really well that way personally. So
yeah, I like it.
All right. So do you want to do the experimental one?
Yes, I do.
All right. So Maddox, it doesn't sound like he was shaken at all by learning that he sacrificed his crew while letting his entire universe be conquered by the Terrans. Walks still confidently into the Kobayashi Maru for a third time, it sounds like.
Even more confidently this time. Now there's brash confidence, overconfidence, dare I say.
All right. All right, so you sit down. You sit down in the captain's chair, the lights dim down again.
It's been a privilege serving with you all. And engage auto-destruct.
Was there a whole long speech that I wasn't there for, or?
No, there wasn't.
Right at the end.
I just wanted you to make it feel like it was.
Perfect. That's awesome. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. It is stardate 16314.6. You are currently traveling at warp 3 past the Clayton Nebula en route to Embry 5. Your ship, the Kobayashi Maru, has picked up an unidentified distress signal from your previous location. The message provides no information on the distress, but does contain your personal authentication code. What do you do?
So we're picking up a distress signal from ourselves.
You're picking up a distress signal from where you just came from, but like it doesn't have any information as to like where it's come from, who sent it. It has your code attached to it, which could be trying to get your attention. It could be from you. You don't know. It just literally is just like it's a garbled message, and has your authentication code, your access code on there.
I want to run a level 5 decryption processing. I'm calling it a scan is not the right word. I want to run it through the computer to to try to get to verify the authenticity of the distress signal.
All right. We're gonna do that as a challenge.
Meanwhile, is our current course taking us away from that or toward the?
Away.
All right. So I also issue an all stop.
All right. Ship is an all stop. Go ahead and give me a clever roll because you're trying to decrypt a message. It's going to be difficulty 2.
Okay. Oof, -2.
All right. So you were not able to get much out of the message. You can't seem to get any of it. Like the garbleness just sound a little bit too much. You are able to run the code and like you recognize it as your own code, but you run it and it does look like it was attached to an actual a real message. Like it's not like a fake code or something. That doesn't really tell you a whole lot, but it does tell you that it's not like someone trying to trick you with it.
But it's my personal authentication code.
I'm bummed I wrote that word because I can never say authentication.
Yeah.
Yes, but it is your code. It is your personal code. That could mean the message is for you. It could be from you. It could be like at this point it's narrowed down. At least it's not someone who's like trying to trick you into something. It looks like it did come from something. It's like it's actually attached the way it's supposed to be. So
all right. Reverse course and go ahead. You were going to say something?
Oh no. So while you're decrypting it, you suddenly have this very strong pain in your left leg, like in your thigh. You just have this like real sharp pain for a second. You kind of waver for a second, and then it kind of dissipates and goes away, leaving sort of the whole of your like left between your knee and your hip kind of tingly for a moment.
That's interesting. Okay.
Helm, turn around.
Yeah, come about and set a course for the source of the signal. I want you to bring us to a halt just inside maximum sensor range. So I don't want to get too close to it. I want to park us just enough so that we can get a taste of what's out there.
Okay.
And please proceed as rapidly as you think it would take for us to get there in the shortest amount of time.
All right, yeah. So Helms turns you around, heads that way. You don't go far because it didn't seem like it was that far, and your sensors are pretty good. So like you're saying outside of range. You're too far to do like visual confirmation or anything. But you at least know the location and you can scan that area from where you are without getting any closer. So.
Okay. Science officer, give me a full active scan.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll your careful because you're trying to it sounded like you're trying to do a thorough scan of the area.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's fair.
Yep. So you're going to try it. So yeah, just a roll. It's going to be a difficulty 1.
Oh, is it a difficulty -3?
It is not. So yeah, you do a scan. You don't.
Turns out my science officer is an actual turtle. We become great friends later in life after college.
So yeah, so you do a scan. You don't get anything. Nothing comes back on your scan.
Shocking. Can we try that one again?
If you can come up with some other thing you want to scan for, rather than just a generic scan.
Okay. So I know the type of class of vessel that I am commanding. I want to try to get a read specifically of the impulse signature of the vessel that sent it to see if it matches our own. I have a suspicion that it might, but that's what I'm looking for specifically.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and give me another scan. Let's do clever because you have an idea of what you're trying to look for specifically.
Okay.
You're doing some reasoning to get to that scan idea. Give me a difficulty 1.
1. Okay. Here we go. 2.
And a 2. Success. You do a scan of the area. You're looking back to see if there are any impulse engine signatures, and you can only find your own. You don't find like an extra pair of your own. You literally just find your own impulse signature from behind you, all the way back and through the location of where the distress signal came from.
Okay.
Or I should say where the message came from. So
correct. All right. So I want to send an encrypted message toward that same location where it came from with my authentication code.
Access code. Let's go with access.
Yeah, access. Access is so much better than authentication. Why is that so hard today?
I don't know.
Authentication. That wasn't that bad. Did I say it right, or am I not saying it? It's lost.
I think it's right. Yep.
With
it's
my
not
access
a word
codes,
anymore.
With my access codes, but again, I want it to be encrypted. So, and I want the message to basically it can only be deciphered with a Federation command code. Okay. So that's the intent, and so only from captain to captain can one decipher it. And basically, the message is if willing to respond, one ping only, like one sensor burst.
All right.
On such and such a frequency that I then go over to my turtle friend and I tell him to prepare for.
Okay. Yeah, so you do that. I'm not going to make you roll to send a message. So yeah, you step up, you describe what you want to do, and your science officer taps away. You record a quick message and send it off to that spot, and don't get anything back.
Okay. I want to proceed in
the time that you've been doing this. The tingling sensation that was in your leg has now spread a bit. So now, like, most of your left leg feels tingly. You have a little bit of tingle up into your midsection. And now, like, what was just a tingle after the sharp pain has now started to be like, it's not quite sharp, but like there's just a pain in your leg where you originally felt it that seems to be growing.
Okay. I turn to the lead instructor with his clipboard and say, "Can we pause the simulator? I think I might have a medical condition."
What do you do, really?
Well, this is Maddox that's having the pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I do. I tell the instructor that I'm having a medical emergency, so I pause the simulator.
They're checking on you. They wouldn't let you die.
How interesting. Okay. So Maddox gets up.
This from your perspective is not a simulation anymore. You are out in space.
Oh, we're not in the simulator.
If that's what you got to tell yourself, sure. Again, it's Kobayashi Maru, but like from your perspective, you are treating it as if you are out in space and you do not have the ability to.
I guess I'm okay. So I turn to the my science officer, Cadet Turtal, and I ask him to take the helm. I want to proceed in very carefully towards the source of that distress signal, and I'm gonna go see the ship's doctor.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Turtal takes takes command of the ship and heads off towards the place where you got the message, and you head down to sickbay.
Okay.
On the way, again, tingling seems to sort of spread. Now most of the lower half of your body tingling away. The pain in your leg continues to get a little stronger. Now you're in sickbay.
Okay. And I tell the doctor about my symptoms. Doctor, I have had the symptoms. I had a sharp pain in my leg from the moment we received this distress signal, which also had my personal access codes. And when we got closer, the pain got greater, and now it's starting to spread to the entire lower half of my extremities.
All right. So they're going to run a scan, I assume, on you?
Yes.
So yeah, so go ahead and give me, are you just having them do a basic medical scan? Are you trying to look for something specific? What's your feeling here?
Just a basic medical scan at this point. I mean, yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't know I wouldn't know how to guide the medical. Okay. I wouldn't have medical guidance at this point.
So it's going to be a careful scan, difficulty 0.
Okay. Hopefully I get a 0.
2.
I got 2.
All right, so yeah, so they do a full scan of you. They cannot find anything medically wrong with you at the moment. Everything looks normal. They do see electrical signals firing in your brain that explain why you're feeling the sensations. Like they can say like it looks like the pain receptors are going, but they don't see any medical reason why you should be having pain.
Okay, I ask the doctor if they can do a subspace scan of the same areas of my body. On a hunch.
All right. I'm gonna do clever. It's gonna be a difficulty 2.
Okay. And I got a 5.
5. Nice. Good roll. All right. So they do a subspace scan. They do pick up some anomalous readings. It does seem to be sort of like situated in your leg, like right around that spot that you said was in pain. I'm trying to think of how to phrase it in terms of the subspace. There's this weird energy source that seems like to be focused right on that spot, but not just like in terms of like stuck in that spot. It actually looks like there's this like subspace filament of some kind, like a string or a fracture of something that's sort of like that seems sort of like being pulled away, like pulled out of your leg at the moment. Sort of like just picture like a splinter or something that's sort of being pulled by a string. It's some sort of subspace disturbance. If you want to try and figure out what type of subspace disturbance, you can go that route.
I do want to do that. Okay. And I also advise the medical team, if they could, to bring the person with the most transporter experience, like the transporter chief equivalent to sickbay to aid.
All right. So they call that person. Before any of that happens, like during the scan, you get a message from Vertel that you have arrived at the location. Yeah, so they do a routine scan of the location, which I'm assuming you would tell them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they've arrived. Does a routine scan. They find nothing nothing's like there's no ship there. It doesn't look like there's a ship that a message came from. In fact, it just looks like empty space for the most part. They do notice what looks to be like a weird, I don't want to say bubble because it doesn't look like a bubble when you're looking at it, but it's like if you could only see the edges of a bubble sort of sitting out there. Something is out there, but they can't really tell what at the moment. No, again, they tried scanning it with a regular scan and nothing popped up.
It looks sort of like refracted light almost in the shape of a curve, like.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, in that time, the pain that was in your leg just has spread throughout most of your body. The pain itself now encapsulates like everything except sort of your head. Your head's super tingly. You're feeling a little overwhelmed. What do? You're still just calling the transportation chief in?
Yeah, I want to see if there is any kind of connection to not just subspace, because we sort of tenuously confirmed that there is some sort of subspace activity going on. When we are transported, we are broken down into our quantum states, beamed to wherever, and reassembled. I am making an assumption that this. I want to see if there's any relation to that process versus what I'm going through based on that subspace reading. So basically,
Okay.
I want to do a hyper-focused quantum scan
Well,
of my damn self.
Well, hold that thought.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So you're sitting there in sickbay. The pain has gotten pretty strong. The transporter chief, what do we want to name him? Say Bill. Walks in, and right when the door is like open, and he like takes his first step into sickbay, and yeah, the pain just sort of like overtakes you. You have a big wave of just a sharp pain that starts in your leg and like radiates outward. And you know, like when you have a real intense pain, like your eye kind of goes white for a second. And then it is stardate 16314.6. You are currently traveling at warp 3 past the Clayton Nebula en route to Embry 5. Your ship, the Kobayashi Maru, has picked up an unidentified signal from your previous location. The message provides no information on the distress, but does contain your personal access code. What do you do?
Can I retain all my memories from previously?
You do.
Okay. I immediately call my senior staff into the briefing room. So there's Turtal and the doctor and the transporter chief Bill. And I sit down and I explain that I appear to be going through some sort of temporal flux, and I'm starting to relive the same moment, at least from my perspective, for the very first time. It is my assumption that that was not the first time I experienced it, because somewhere along the line this thing had to get started, and in this case, does cause equal effect or what? So I want to do a level 5 temporal scan of the vessel and the area. But let's start with the area. A level 5 scan in a 360-degree arc around the Kobayashi Maru to determine whether or not there's any temporal anomalies in the area.
Okay. While you're sort of disseminating this information to your senior staff, you're about halfway through describing what's going on, and then you just have this
and
sort
I pass out.
No, you have this like strong pain, that kind of like a sharp pain in your leg that kind of like comes real quick and then fades, and then there's just this weird tingling sensation in your leg at that point. You finish the briefing, tell them what you want to do. They are a little skeptical. They aren't sure what you're talking about. This is all news to them. They don't have any recollection of any sort of repeating things. But this is Starfleet, and they tend to trust their officers, and so they're like, okay, well, if you think there's something going on, we'll check. So yeah, they go back. You're going to go ahead and do a temporal scan, which is going to be clever because you're looking for a specific thing. It's still going to be a difficulty 2.
Got a 0 this time.
And a 0. Again, this is a moment where if you want to, you could use one of your fate points, or you could not and keep going.
No, I think I want to.
Okay.
So this time, I can we say that I did the scan myself?
Yeah.
Or no? So this time
it doesn't. Yeah. If you don't have to
you don't have to make it. I want to use is my trust issues. So I want to. I made mention earlier that I have total faith in Turtal. Mm-hmm. So I want to apply that aspect so that I give after I fail at my scan, I say, Turtal, look, You've always been better at this stuff than me. I trust you more than I trust myself. You do the scan for me.
All right.
And with that, go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that idea. I will note that if you use the fate point or the aspect to just give you a +2 directly rather than reroll, you will succeed at the task.
No, that was my choice.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Okay,
choice
so
is going to be to do a +2.
Gotcha. So let's say that you pulled in the results and you aren't sure what you're looking at. So you're gonna ask Tortal to go over your results and see if he can spot something that you missed. Does that work? Rather than having you redo the scan.
That's great.
So Tortal looks over I can't believe we named one of them. Looks over your data and notices nothing. So
temporal anomalies. All right.
There's no temporal there's no temporal anomalies currently in scanning range.
Okay. I want to set course in the opposite direction from the
back to where you came.
Away from the signal that we intercepted or that we received. So last time again, this is scientific method. Last time we got closer, and my pain got to this point where the closer we got, it seemed to get worse. And so now I want to back away from it.
Okay. Well, you are still currently on course to Embry 5 at the moment.
Oh, we haven't changed. Yeah, I guess we never changed course, did we? Oh, that's interesting. So getting closer to the signal or not didn't affect it. Talking about it seemed to maybe have an effect.
So while you were going over the scan data with Tortal, the tingling sensation in your leg kind of grows a little bit now. It's like most of your left leg up into like your hip area. And then there's like a little ping of pain where the initial one was. Not a lot, but just a little bit of pain there.
Okay. I want to talk to our archival expert, Dr. Tortas, and determine whether or not what do we know if there have been any spatial anomalies reported or any sort of out of the ordinary type of things associated with the Clayton Nebula.
All right, he tells you no, not that he's aware of.
Thank you, Dr. Tortas. You are dismissed. All right.
Also, if we name anybody else, they have to be Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, or Michelangelo. So.
All right. So now I hail my academy mentor, Splentor, and all right. So let's all right. I'll stop.
All right.
Issue an all stop, and. Man, I don't know what to do here. So we've gone closer to the source of the message. We've gone away from it. That doesn't make a difference. My condition is progressing no matter what. So I want to have nobody else remembers any of this, correct?
Correct.
All right. I want to have my brain scan compared to with my standard brain scan that I had when I boarded the Kobayashi Maru. So I want to see if it seems as though from my brain's development, my memory side, if I've been here longer than what the ship's records indicate. Basically, I want to prove to them that I am experiencing memories that supersede what they have experienced on board the ship.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you that one.
Okay.
You do you do a brain scan. You compare it to scans for like when you got command and they did your final fitness check and stuff. You do have some like heightened levels of adrenaline, some increased sort of electrical activity going on in your brain. Considering you've said you're sort of having a constant pain and simulation going on, that wouldn't be shocking. But otherwise, they don't see anything wrong with your brain. In terms of being able to say like you have used up an extra 500 gigabytes of memory storage in your brain because of a day that recorded on a file that you don't have, like that sort of thing. I don't think they can tell that from a brain scan. So
well, they can in Next Generation, but this ain't Next Generation, is it?
Do they do that in Generation?
Yeah, they do. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Your point is valid and it doesn't break with canon. So I want we just did a full brain scan, correct?
Yep.
That's what we said. All right. I want to get on a shuttlecraft and and head towards the source of the signal by myself without the Enterprise. I'm sorry,
Okay.
without the Kobayashi Maru.
All right. As you're walking down, the pain again sort of travels up and down your leg a little bit. You have tingling kind of going all over your body. You load up onto the shuttlecraft. Do you want to do anything else before you depart?
Yeah, I do, but I don't know if you're gonna want to, if you'll let me. What I want to do is I talked to Bill, the transporter chief, who, by the way, is in fact a goat.
I love it.
So, and I asked Bill to record a. I want him to. This is what I want to do. I want him to beam me onto. So I want a transport record of my physiology, basically.
Okay.
And I want it uploaded to a quantum server.
All right. So you asked Bill to transport you, I guess, into the shuttle. It sounds like. Well, it's still still
correct.
in the.
While it's still in the car, in the shuttle bay, beam me in there so we have a transport record of my personage, and then I want him to. I ask him to try to, because he believes me, because Bill and I go way back.
Yeah.
And I ask him to find a way, if at all possible, to save it in a method that can that will be saved in a quantum way, as opposed to just standard isolation.
You're gonna get onto the pad. He walks up, and because you're doing it on the little like transporter pad they have in the cargo bay next to the shuttles, cool. And he tries to get a lock on you, and he can't. Like he keeps like trying to read the signal. He can get all of you, but it looks like you're just sort of like there's this weird phasing going on. He can't quite place it. Something with your quantum signature is off in a way that the Heisenberg compensators can't figure out. And so he's just not able to get a lock on you, so he can't beam you anywhere. He even like tries to engage when it's not quite there, hoping that he can like fix it as it goes, and like it doesn't even it starts the shimmer and then immediately stops because it can't read.
But I'm still there. I didn't disappear. I didn't get blinked out of existence.
Nope.
So my quantum signature is in flux. That's very interesting.
The pain has now traveled to a large portion of your body. It's up around your chest area. Like you got tingling going on and some serious pain in your leg.
I want to review the ship's logs.
All right. What do you want to review?
Everything from the moment just before all of these events started happening. What did, and by ship's log, I also mean my memory. Did I do anything out of the ordinary? Did I encounter anybody or any person or any computer system that I hadn't previously? Had I just transported onto the ship from another vessel? Anything out of the ordinary?
Nope, nothing out of the ordinary. It looks like you were just heading warp 3 towards the Clayton Nebula, or past the Clayton Nebula towards Embry 5. Standard just travel. You were sitting on the bridge, just kind of going, and then you just got this weird signal, and then this pain in your leg.
And there's nothing in our system in our. All right, I want a full. Before the pain gets too bad, I order a full scan of the Clayton Nebula, full detailed scan of the nebula itself.
Okay.
I know there's nothing in our books about it, but I want to scan it right now.
Okay, go ahead and do a quick scan of the Clayton Nebula.
Before I die.
Yep, gonna be 0. So roll the 1.
Got a 1.
Nothing out of the ordinary. Looks exactly like you were planning on it to look. And yeah, right as you start getting the results back, as you're like looking through them, you just have this intense pain. And it is Stardate 16314.6. You are currently traveling at warp 3 past the Clayton Nebula en route to Embry 5. Your ship, the Kobayashi Maru, has yada yada yada. What do you do?
Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to get into the shuttlecraft, and I want to exit the Kobayashi Maru to put us right in front of the deflector dish, and then I want Tortal to do a full sensor scan of me personally. So like he's going to scan me with the ship's sensors, specifically looking for temporal fluctuations in my quantum signature.
Okay. Right. So you go ahead and do that thing. As you're walking down to the shuttle bay, you have this weird pain in your leg that kind of like comes in and then subsides.
Shut up. No, keep going.
And then like a weird tingling sensation.
That always plays in Groundhog Day.
I can't remember, but yeah. So you do. That happens while you're walking down the shuttle. You load on. You pull out right in front of the deflector dish, and sure enough, he sits there and he's like, okay, and he does this big scan. So go ahead and give me a clever roll. Since it's using the ship, I'm going to give it a 0. So what'd you roll?
1.
A 1. Okay, so successful. Yeah, he sees that there is some sort of weird temporal quantum out of phaseness about you personally. It looks like I mentioned before, when they did the medical scan to find out the weird thing that was going on, it's like this sort of like temporal filament, like this elastic string that feels like it's kind of like trying to pull you towards the direction of the message that you received. So they can like read this weird temporal anomaly on you. They can see that it's like sort of causing stress on your person, and can kind of see the way the shear of the temporal anomaly is happening, and it seems to be a shear directed towards where the message came from.
All right, so I quickly, as fast as I can, dock with the Kobayashi Maru.
All right. And at this point, the pain has sort of taken up your whole leg. So.
Okay, and now I order us to go to the source of that message at maximum warp.
All right, boom, you are there. You arrive right when you stop. You look out the view screen, standard scan as soon as you arrive. Doesn't pick up anything weird, but you can notice outside the ship, there's this weird sort of, I don't want to call it a bubble per se, but sort of like the edges of a bubble around, like in space, kind of like hovering out there.
Okay. And I take, I'm still at this point in the shuttlecraft, and I exit again.
No, you redocked to the, or you.
No, right. I'm still in the shuttlecraft in the shuttle bay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, and then I want to exit the shuttle bay and set course for that bubble.
Okay. Yep. All right. So you pull out, start heading towards the shuttle in your shuttlecraft. Do you have the Maru doing anything behind you?
They're constantly
scanning you,
scanning me and keeping up and giving me constant reports on my both biological and quantum states.
All right. They continue to tell you sort of what you already know, like you're in a weird quantum flux, temporal flux of some sort. When you start heading towards the anomaly, you actually like start to pick up speed as you're getting to it. It feels like it's starting to kind of like pull you in some. And yeah, the pain continues to get more severe. It might be going a little faster than before. You aren't sure. It doesn't feel like it's dramatically faster, but like the pain is continuing to spread as it had before. And then, yeah, right when you get up close to it, I'm assuming you just want to go right into it at this point. Do you want to stop before you run into it?
Nope, I've done too much stopping already.
Right. Yeah, so right when you connect with the bubble, like you have this like weird shake to you. Like you feel that pain kind of spread, like sort of waves throughout your body. And then suddenly you are in the bubble. Within the bubble, you look around and you see what looks like your shuttle. But the best way to describe it would be if someone had opened up Photoshop and had like a million photos of your shuttle from different angles and had just layered them on top of each other. And they're all kind of like moving around, like back and forth, and kind of like and they're all kind of looking like they can converge into one spot, and you're getting pulled there too. And this only lasts a second. You start seeing them come together, and then the pain just kind of overtakes you. And it is stardate 16314.6. You are currently traveling at warp 3 past the Clayton Nebula en route to Embry 5.
Okay, I order an about face and set course for the distress signal, which we just received at maximum warp, and we get we get to the bubble.
Yep, you're right there.
Okay, and now I have subsequently briefed my team on the last, I don't know, 3 hours of my experience. I'm presuming this isn't taking too long.
No.
And
well, the briefing. Have all that. Yeah, during the briefing, the pain starts again in your leg.
Right, that's the first time trigger. I got the pattern down now. Now so we know that there's this quantum fissure that I am stuck in, and I want to I want to do a detailed quantum scan of the bubble itself from the inside. So I take our whatever shuttle we have, the most resolute sensor platform on, back into the bubble.
All right, so you load up in your best, most decked out shuttle. You connect it to the Kobayashi Maru sensor system, so you can even beef it up a little bit more.
Yeah. And
you hop in and head towards. During that time frame, like the pain is spread a little bit, but it's not super far at this point. Like, because again, you've been doing this all in one big rush, so you have a little bit of tingling through maybe like your midsection and legs, and like, but only your leg hurts at the moment.
Okay.
Fly towards it. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
Okay.
You go ahead.
So you fly towards it, and your goal, as I understand it, is to fly into it and try to get as much readings as you can once you're inside, right?
Correct.
Okay. So yeah, so that's what happens. You fly in. You feel like it's pulling you a little bit as you're getting closer. You break through. You see the multitude of other shuttles sort of like converging. You're getting scan readings sort of like read to you like just over and over. You just see them sort of blooming across your screen. The pain gets stronger once you're in there pretty quickly. And from the readings you see, you can make out this sort of temporal fissure pocket thing. The best way I can describe it would be the episode in which Picard, Data, and Troy are traveling in a runabout, and like you have like the fruit that randomly just ages a whole bunch. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Isn't in that episode, doesn't time travel much more slowly for the rest? Like they're experiencing timing at a much quicker pace than.
So yeah, if you recall in that episode, they're traveling, and one thing they notice is that the bowl of fruit suddenly is old and withered and rotten. And when they do a scan, they see these like pulsating little stars of time rifts. Some travel faster, some travel slower. Some they're different of sizes and stuff like that. But they're just like this little like starry sort of like giant atom looking things of just like little splinters in all different directions of particles that are kind of like traveling within a little contained area. And so you can kind of make out that it's this weird little like time pocket thing. However, you notice that this one, instead of having sort of like rays and dots kind of heading in all different directions, there's actually one section of it that seems to be like sort of broken, like it's dark, as opposed to the other parts that are all lit up and moving with different particles and temporal rays and whatnot. And that part looks like you can make out some of the string that should be part of it, but it's stretched out so far that it hides the fact that it's there. And you can kind of make out that it looks like part of that temporal rift thing seems to be sort of like stretching in your direction, from your perspective at least. And next thing you know, the pain overtakes you because you're in the middle of this. The pain comes quickly, and it is 16314.6. You are traveling, so forth and so on.
Okay, we return to the bubble, and I don't brief my crew.
Okay.
No,
so you turn around. Okay. So you arrive. You can see the bubble. You kind of have a pretty solid idea, I think, at this point, kind of what it is.
Oh, for the record, I have no idea what it is. Oh. I don't have any idea what it is.
I'm going to explain it because you did a scan. You specifically did a thing to understand what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is sort of a time fissure. It's this weird pocket of time and space kind of folding in on itself. So time moves at a completely different rate, and it's variable. If you've ever seen like one of those graphing approximation of what like an 11-dimensional universe would look like, it's just some weird geometric shape. It's one of those little things, but it's all sorts of weird time changing and shifting. And it
Wibbly,
looks like
wobbly, timey-wimey thing.
Exactly. It looks from your scanners, it looks sort of like a star kind of sitting, like a little tiny star that's just kind of like twinkling in all different directions and nebulating.
For one, which has been pulled taut.
Yeah, that seems like it's connected to you in some way.
Okay.
So yeah, in the episode of, I think it's Timescape, I'm not 100% sure, those bubbles existed and they were completely isolated. And so like when the ship flew through it and it hit, and that bubble like hit the bowl of fruit experienced time at a different rate and was suddenly super old. When one flew through the tank of fuel, suddenly it looked like they had been flying for 1 million hours, even though they'd only been flying for 20 minutes or types of thing. So like when something hits these fissures, that episode TNG has not happened yet, but in this, like, you have some temporal knowledge at least to know that like when things come in contact with this sort of anomaly, it would make them have all sorts of weird quantum and temporal timey-wimey stuff going on. Normally that would be isolated to just the thing itself when you're in contact with it, but somehow it seems to have connected to you, and you like are trying to pull it with you. And so it's, as space-time wants to do, to like go back to normal and pull back to you. So, or pull you back to it.
Right, but me going to it didn't fix the problem.
Well, you going to it, yeah, caused you to reset, yes.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm at a loss as to what to do here. Because we went in. I feel like I need more. I need somebody to give me the techno babble as to what's going on. To give me the techno babble, I guess you just did, but
yeah.
So if going away from it tightens the string and going towards it tightens the string, I don't know how to release the tension on the quantum filament that apparently is tethered to me. So going, because we went away from it and it didn't solve the problem, and going to it made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, I'm gonna fly directly into the quantum bubble again.
The entire Maru.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, you do. You fly directly into it, and essentially the same thing happens that happened with the shuttle. As soon as you come into contact with it, even though the bubble did not seem nearly as large as the Maru itself is, when you come in contact with it, like it kind of pulls you in, and then you see millions of Marus now instead of the shuttlecraft, all sort of overlapping into each other. You are hearing the message going at this point as well, just kind of like relaying a bunch of times. And yeah, and then next thing you know, it is Stardate 16314. You are traveling at Warp 3 past the Clayton Nebula on your route to Embry 5.
Okay, I say all stop immediately.
All right.
And I do nothing.
All right. Is the plan not to do anything through this whole cycle?
Nothing at all. Yep.
All right. Yeah, the pain just appears in your leg, grows
the whole cycle
over time.
goes through, and we can fast forward to the end, and it's the exact same result.
Yep.
So geometry doesn't affect it at all.
The last run that you did, you were pretty far away from where it was.
Yeah. Is there any difference in duration of the onset of the symptoms and how fast my degradation occurs?
For you, no.
For anybody else?
I mean, from everybody else's perspective, you're there and like going through all the stuff, and then the next moment, they don't notice any difference. They don't remember anything that happened in that time frame, and nothing seems out of place to them. Now, you have also been like keeping you with them the whole time. The one time you got into the shuttle and went into the anomaly by yourself, they were right next to you and like scanning you the whole time, but they don't remember anything about any of that stuff. So.
Okay. So in this time, I order an all stop, and I ask, I tell give the briefing to the crew, and while I'm just getting into the fastest shuttle now that we have, not the most well equipped from a sensor standpoint, but the fastest, and I set course by myself towards the quantum bubble is what I'm calling it, the temporal bubble.
Temporal bubble. So we're gonna do a quick roll. There's no real difficulty on this. I'm gonna suggest you go ahead and use a fate point to use your passion of science, because you're trying to suss out the problem here. And just roll your quick and let's see what you get, and that'll determine how much information you get. I'm essentially saying it's difficulty 0, and then we'll figure out how much you get from that.
I already used that fate point already, though, didn't I?
You can reuse it in the same, like you can't use the same one multiple times in a single roll, but you can use the same one multiple times in a scene if you want.
Oh, cool. Okay, so it's not like a point of determination in that. Okay.
Right, exactly.
You said clever, or what was the approach?
Quick, since you're trying to go
quick.
fast.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. So I rolled a 1, and I'll add 2 to it with my passion for science aspect.
All right, and so you're down to I think 1 fate point left. You've used 2 with this one. So you get a 3, so you succeed pretty heavily. You were able to get in. You speed away from them. It's still a shuttle, so it's not like you can like get absurdly far from them, but you do get a pretty good distance. And again, time passes, pain in your leg, blah blah blah, all that sorts of thing. After the pain overtakes you, you are not able to get to the anomaly because it's just a shuttle and the ship is traveling at warp 3. So you're able to get pretty far away from the ship, but not tremendously close to the bubble when the pain overtakes you. And it is Stardate 16134.6. You look around, and everyone around kind of has like a look of not complete confusion, but like this sort of moment where they're a little discombobulated for just a moment and wondering what happened, and then they all kind of just shake it off and seem fine.
Wow. Okay. And so how many what's the crew complement of the Kobayashi Maru?
283.
And how many shuttlecraft do we have?
4.
Not enough. Not enough to put all the personnel onto the shuttlecraft.
Correct.
Okay. So what
What is your
I
goal there?
my goal is to get there by myself, but faster.
You could take the Maru there and then have the Maru leave afterwards.
Well, we did that earlier.
You never sent the Maru away.
No, I didn't. Okay. Well, I guess that's the answer. So we'll do that. So
I mean, yeah, it was
we'll
just rather than trying to roundabout, like you can get there because you remember you get there and you have like a few actions, for lack of a better term. Like it doesn't immediately hit you once you're there, so you haven't had them try to leave once you're there yet. So if your goal is to be at the anomaly and not have the Maru there at the
by
anomaly,
myself. Correct.
that's the way to do it. So
that's what we do. We set course at maximum warp with the Maru. I disembark on a shuttlecraft and I order them away. So at maximum warp in the opposite direction from whence they came.
So this is the question that I have for you now. How far away are you sending them?
I'm telling them not to stop. They're going until the end of my time. So physically as far as they possibly can be.
Okay.
So their orders are not to stop.
So are you going into the bubble, or are you just going to wait there at the bubble until it takes you in its natural course?
I was planning on going in, so I'm in the bubble.
Okay. So they turn around, they hit out at maximum warp to try and get as much distance as possible. You travel into the bubble. You get there pretty quick because they dropped you right off at the bubble. Once you get inside again, you see the same tons of shuttles overlapping to one another, and the pain overtakes you pretty quickly because again it goes fast once you're in there. And let's see, what's maximum warp for the Tempest?
Oh,
it's like 9.3 or something like that. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So the maximum warp of the Kobayashi Maru in this case is going to be like 5 or 6, let's say.
Sure.
So it is easily able to like get further away than when you first got the destruct missile, and actually a fair distance even further than that, before it finally sort of the pain overtakes you. Next thing you know, it is stardate 16314.6. You are standing alone on within a shuttle, somewhere near the Clayton Nebula, seemingly en route to Embry 5. You do not see a ship anywhere else. What do you do?
I open a channel and see what's out there.
Like a scan or a message?
First, I send out a message for the Kobayashi Maru to see if they're out there.
Okay. So you send out a code, basically asking the Maru, where are you? And sure enough, in a short time later, that you get a message back from the Maru. First Officer Turtel is genuinely confused. You all were on your way to Embry 5. You were traveling at like warp 6.4, which is the fastest ship can go. For some reason, he's a little confused as to why they were even traveling at that speed, as opposed to the standard of warp 3. But he recalls you getting on a shuttle for some reason and leaving and ordering them to leave at maximum warp. And then you left, and about 8 hours has passed since then, a little less. And then he got your hail and you just vanished seemingly out of nowhere until they received your hail. They did pull a full stop once you vanished, and they've just been trying to figure out what's been going on, and now they got your message. So yeah, he's like, what the F, mate?
And I said, just come and get me. And I look at my leg and like there's strings playing in the air.
Oh no, you still have the pain in your leg. So
it's still there. Okay.
So you have essentially sort of reached the end. I think you have all the information that you know.
Are going to get.
No, I think you have the. It's just a matter of like piecing it together into like what it sort of is, what's going on.
So let's play it out for just the end of this scenario. So I tell the crew what I did and what happened, and I get my best man Turtal on it to because he's a science officer, so he might have a better he might be more better equipped to solve the problem. And then how's my pain? Does it reset?
Not yet. If you want to have him try to figure out sort of piece together some of those pieces, go ahead and do another roll. Do the clever because you're trying to piece together a puzzle. And just go ahead and give me that roll.
3.
3. All right. I was gonna make it difficulty 0 anyway, because again, you have most of the pieces. So Tertal looks at the data that you have, because they still had all of the data in their databanks, because again, their timeline did not reset from the last time. So they have a fair amount of data of what's going on. He looks at it and he tells you that it looks like you are tied somehow to this temporal anomaly.
And I looked at Tortal and I go, no fucking shit, Sherlock.
Well, it takes him a little while to get to the point because of who he is as a person.
Because of who he is as an amphibian.
As a turtle, yeah. And yet, no, he tells you that like you're attached to this thing. It seems like the effect of the time loop that you were stuck in seems to be isolated to you and to some amount of space near you. So if someone's near you, when you reset, they reset. But because the last time they were far away from you because they were outside the effects of this particular time anomaly, which only grew that large because of how, like, basically you stretched the filament out to where you stopped and then turned around and went back. And sort of that's the effective range of this time anomaly. So when they left, they were outside of that range when you reset last. So the effect only seems to affect you and only affects a now unknown radius to that effect. He has no idea how to get you out of it. His suggestion to you is that the Maru can send a science ship, but he's concerned if they stay near you before it resets again and they're within range of this effective anomaly, they may lose the memory of what happened.
So what you're explaining to me is that this anomaly is somehow I became tethered to this anomaly with some sort of quantum filament, and if anybody is within the range of the effective range of that quantum filament, they reset with me. So your orders are this. I'm going to take the shuttle. I'm going to set course for this quantum bubble, and I want you to set course exactly opposite direction at maximum warp. I will head to the shuttle. I will head to the bubble at the maximum warp of the shuttle. You'll head to the opposite direction, the Kobayashi Maru at their maximum warp, at our maximum warp. It's been a pleasure serving with you. Tell the Starfleet Science Academy about the situation, and I have faith that someday somebody will find a solution that is currently eluding us. And until then, Godspeed and good luck.
All right. Tortal is like a little teary-eyed. He doesn't have a lot of moisture to give up, but he gets a little choked up. And yeah, turns the ship around and leaves, and you will just repeat this pattern until Starfleet Science Academy is able to figure out how to remove a subspace quantum filament from your person. And that's the end.
Cool. That's a good episode. I like it.
So yeah, so you have escaped the time loop. You haven't escaped the time loop. You have set your ship
within the time loop forever.
You are trapped within the time loop
indefinitely.
And the Maru has left. They are going to send a science vessel. This time, the Academy person pulls you aside and says, like, "I'm proud of you," and then lets you leave. So
yeah, you might as well call me Tortal with how long it took me to get to the solution. But that's
you got there, and you had all the time you needed, so it didn't really matter.
And more.
So yeah, so you did really well. And that'll be the end. That is the end of the experimental one. It sounds like you had fun with it.
Yes, I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, Travis. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's the end of this one. I mean, yeah, I want to do any sort of comments you have before I sign off officially, for not just the experimental, but for all of them. Like, what'd you think?
Well, it is very frustrating to be in a no-win scenario. Because we are so used to being able to find creative solutions to problems that Brian hasn't thought of, and he'll say, oh well, okay, if you want to do that, it's super impossible, and then we always roll impossible rolls and we get out of it. So
yeah, we have made a lot of 5 difficulty rolls successfully.
Anyway,
so.
I will say that it honestly has taught me kind of felt pressure. Like I kind of feel like the pressure, like the Kobayashi Maru was supposed to instill in cadets. That obviously it's not the same thing, but no, it was from a gameplay standpoint. It was like I can't win, which is exactly why the second effort was whatever. But this third one was really interesting. I liked it because the entire time I felt like there was There was a solution, and my frustration was only at myself. If it wasn't even frustration, my frustration lied in the fact that I thought it wasn't fun for anybody listening to it. So
Yeah.
if it was just straight gameplay, I could have done that for an hour and a half longer and figured it out.
Yeah. I'm glad you had a good time.
That's true.
But yeah, so that would be it. Thanks, Cadet Maddox, for joining us for this run through of the Kobayashi Maru scenario.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting it together, Holden, Travis.
All right, and for everybody else, we will see you out there. Thanks again for listening to another Starship Tempest Kobayashi Maru scenario. Still on the docket, we've got fan favorite Lieutenant Eel, played by the wonderful Tara Jean, and count them 2 episodes by some absolutely fabulous Patreon supporters. If you're bummed you didn't get a turn, express your regret on any of our social media pages under the handle Starship Tempest, and maybe sign up to be a patron yourself at patreon.com/Starship Tempest, so next time we do something like this, you can get in on the fun. And until that next time, we'll see you out there.